Hello and welcome to PSF1 for F3. It's round 11 and we're at Monza this weekend for a fast, high-paced race. And I'm joined today by a former F3 driver in the name of Jake, who now makes his way into F1. Hello and welcome, Jake.
Hello. First time commentating. Yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a change. Should be a good race today. High-paced track. Who are we looking at for pole position?
Pole position today, we're probably looking at someone like Marklin, possibly Sophie as well, but there tends to be a couple of guys that come out of the blue sometimes that have good laps. Miles tends to be up there with a bit of pace, but I would say pole position today would probably be Ozone Francis, also known as Francis Jessica. It's account change there, but yeah, so we're looking at a couple of quick drivers today. Now obviously you used to race in F3 and now you've made your way up to F1, and obviously you know you've got a lot of different drivers that you come into battles with. So what would you say is the hardest thing about getting that top spot in F3?
The hardest part is keeping it clean to coming through the first few laps, just trying not to make mistakes. Consistency is probably the hardest thing to achieve over the course of the whole season, and that's how you can get the most points out of a calendar year.
Yeah, so as you said, the start very important, especially here at Monza as well. Especially coming down into that first corner, because it is such a slow corner from such a fast straight, and we do often see a lot of incidents occur at turn 1. So it'll be interesting to see if any of the drivers have any issues going into turn 1 today on the opening, not just on the opening lap as well, because there can be a lot of overtakes there because it is coming off the back of a DRS zone, and of course the fast parabolica last corner as well. So we can see a lot of overtakes down into turn 1. Talking about overtaking opportunities, big ones here, there's quite a few actually. It's a fairly short track, of course. It's about a 1:20 lap, as you can see at the moment. Showjaw's currently pole with a 1:21.1, but overtaking opportunities, you're looking at turns 1, 4, possibly 8 into Ascari. Probably not though, it's a bit of a fast speed chicane, that one, and possibly turn 11 of course into Parabolica. That is a good overtaking opportunity, and many straights here as well.
And there's always possibility for people to make mistakes and be caught out on the straights, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, you're saying about mistakes there. Of course, it is quite a, as we've mentioned, it's a very high-speed track, and if you do get wide coming out of Ascari here, like Showjaw's just coming through there, it can really cost you a lot of time, and especially if you get it wrong, get the inside curb and it slings you off into the gravel or something, that can really damage your race. That's for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few people who fall foul to that at Ascari today.
So just looking at the times now, we've currently got Showjaw on penultimate pole with a 1:21.1. He leads by just over a tenth from Renault's Robot Sophie. She's currently second with a 1:21.2. So that's her fastest at the moment. But Thomas coming through in third place. We've only got 6 cars that have actually set a lap at the moment, so hopefully a few more cars will set their laps now. We've got Tezza, Marklin out also. Tezza coming across the line now. And he sets a 1:21.8, so that's actually a pretty decent lap from Tezza. He tends to struggle for pace a little bit, but himself and his teammate in the McLaren Miles, they'll be looking for some good points. I don't think they can go up. In fact, mathematically, Tezza can still go up. Miles can actually go up mathematically speaking, but he would need Not So Happy Cow to not score, or Thomas pretty much to not score, so it's pretty much all set in stone with that one. Regarding other promotion spots, we've got Thomas. Realistically, as you can see, they're currently third. He's got the pace. He could push for that last promotion spot, but it would mean having to beat Not So Happy Cow, or indeed Bendel, because he does struggle for pace sometimes, and yet to set a lap. So we'll see where Bendel starts this race. He tends to come out a little bit later onto the harder tyres, so we'll see what he does later on in qualifying. But yeah, so Fear, realistically, possibly, if he gets a good result here today, could get promoted, but we're more than likely looking at either a battle between Cow and Thomas, or potentially Bendel and Thomas for that final promotion spot. So we've got just over 5 minutes left of qualifying now, and we've got 10 cars that have set a lap, so we've got a 1:23 from Miles, so he's definitely going to need to improve there.
Francis actually came out and started a lap but got invalid, went straight back into the pits. He's just come back for his out lap now.
That is interesting.
I think Bendel's starting a lap, and that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. I think the rest are coming back in the pits.
So we're coming back in before their final run then, as it's quite a short circuit, so the outlap only takes about 1 minute 30 if you want to take it quite slowly. So that's quite nice for the drivers. And of course, actually Bendel's going out on the soft tyres. That is interesting. So he's obviously doesn't want to start on those super softs. I didn't realise either, but Marklin very nearly clinching pole. He set a 1:21.2, but a very close time indeed to show Jords. Just over 0.06 of a second off. And he's on another lap here by the looks of it, the Haas.
He's running out of fuel, he's in lean.
Yeah, so he's backing off of that one anyway. Is he coming into the pits? He is indeed, so he will come out for another run. Presuming he's got the tyres to do it. As we see one of the Mercedes getting pushed into the garage there. That is Fear, I believe. Fear has set a lap. He's currently 7th, so that's quite a good lap from Fear, 1:21.9. We tend to see him off the pace quite a little bit, but he's in P7 at the moment. A good lap from him. We've got Guy Zalodian currently in P8 in the other Haas, I believe he's driving. And we've got George Roberts, who normally starts last, but he's currently P9 in the Ferrari with a 1:23.4. So he's currently... Go on then, what were you going to say?
It looks to me like Bendel wants to get rid of those soft tyres. He's abandoned his lap and has come back in. I presume he'll be putting on a set of the super softs and coming back out to try and set a time.
Yeah, so that is a... Yeah, that's an interesting one actually that you say that. So we'll keep an eye on him for sure. But at the moment it is currently Showjaws that still sits on pole with a 1:21.1. Can anyone beat the Flying Sauber? His teammate Raikkonen hasn't set a lap yet. Actually, is he out on track at the moment, Raikkonen? He is indeed. And he's going through the first sector now into the second sector. We'll follow him round through this lap as he comes up through the first Lesmo. Off camber, right hand up. And he seems to be struggling with a little bit of lag at the moment. Oh, and he loses the back end coming out of the second Lesmo. And that will be, I think, a common factor in this race. Guys that are going to lose the back end coming out of there, because it is a very tricky corner to get right.
Interestingly, Francis has come back into the pits again. I think he's having troubles with invalidations on his laps, and Bendel has come back out on the super softs. He's out of that now. So
it is all down to this final lap. Raikkonen coming round Parabolica now to presumably start his lap, because this looks like quite a slow one. So I don't think... Having said that, actually, it's a competitive time. It's going to be a 1:21.5, so it's a pretty good lap. Whether it goes into a second lap or not, I'm not quite sure. Nope, he's not, so he's backing out of that one.
Not so happy cow on the lap, I think. At 20.7. Nah, invalidated.
Invalidated, so that was a lot quicker, so be interesting to see if he can do this lap and keep it valuable. Right on board with the Mercedes driver. He's currently pushing for that. Oh, and he loses the back end coming out of turn 2. That's going to cost him a lot of time. And he may have abandoned his lap already here. We'll just look at the delta as we come through into the first sector split, and he's 4.5 tenths down, so yeah, he's definitely not improving.
Thomas is about to start a lap.
George Roberts can't do any better. He retires on a 1:23.4. Oh, big lock up from the Toro Rosso. May have been just on our end. Yeah, only he can tell us really. So come round now through turn 3, fast right-hander, flat out in both the race and qualifying. Into the tricky chicanes now at turn 4 and 5, and he runs a little bit wide and he's clipped the gravel there. And that's going to affect his run into the first Lesmo. Almost flat through there.
I don't think she's going to be setting another time.
So no, that will be the end of her qualifying, that's for sure. She skipped back on board with Thomas. Is it good enough to clinch pole? Maybe 26.4 was the middle sector time. Can't actually see the delta if he's up or not. Raikkonen retires with 1:21.5. Quite a competitive lap from him.
He's kept that nice and slightly through a Scary. This could be a good lap if he hooks up through Parabolica.
So the Toro Rosso, can he take pole away from the Sauber of Showjords? He comes round the final corner now. Is it going to be enough? It's going to be a 1:21.1, and it does indeed go pole for now, but only by 19 thousandths of a second. It's close, and Showjords is coming through Ascari now. Loses the back end ever so slightly. Can he get his second pole position in a row? 20 Boy retires on a 1:22.7. And it looks like Ozone Francis hasn't set a lap, so that will be the end of Ozone Francis's qualifying. Showjords comes across the line. It's going to be a 1:21.001. Just about keeps it out of the 120s, and he'll be happy with that lap as long as Marklin behind him doesn't go even faster. The Haas is coming round the last corner now. Onto the start-finish straight. Is it enough from the Haas? No, it's not. Oh, it is! No, it's not quite! Oh my goodness, how close was that? And Marklin will be bitterly disappointed with that one, having come so close to getting a pole position. But my, that was a pretty intense qualifying there towards the end, but we have a very close top three, even four you could argue. Robert Sophie only 2.5 tenths down. So your official starting grid for F3 is Showjords on pole with the 1:21 dead, although it was not telling us that before. We've got Marklin in second, Thomas third, Robot Sophie fourth, Not Happy Cow in fifth, sixth Raikkonen, seventh Prototype Steph, eighth Tezza, ninth Fear, 10th Bendel, 11th Geiserlodin, 12th Miles, 13th 20 Boy, 14th George Roberts, who doesn't start last because it is Ozone Francis, who failed to set a lap, will start from the back of the grid here at Monza. So the drivers will hopefully adhere to the 2-minute prep period that we have in place here, and it gives us a little bit of a chance to talk about strategy and what the drivers would go on to off of those super soft tyres, because obviously the first 10 that all set their laps on super softs will have to start on those tyres, whereas behind we could see a little bit more of a different strategy.
Yes, that is true. I think you can possibly take the mediums to the end if you're starting on super softs. Not too sure if you can go on to softs, so I think one stop will be the strategy that most go with. Possibly if you see a bit further back, maybe Francis could try the two stop, try and get the jump on a few of the cars ahead of him.
Yeah, of course, because he's starting from the back, he's either got to try and push his tyres long, or he's got to try and undercut everyone else. So it'd be interesting to see some strategies in here. And of course, as you say, the mediums will probably get you to the end, but a two-stop can also work because of the super soft difference between those two tyres. So we'll see what the drivers go for. I can assure you we'll have a variety of strategies going into this race. It is a sunny race. It will be dry the entire race distance, so drivers won't have to worry about running any wet tyres, that's for sure. As we're just waiting for the drivers to ready up now and finish their strategies. And it's quite a heavy track on fuel as well, so would you expect a lot of drivers to be starting with heavy fuel loads?
I would think so. I think slowing it down for turn one, they've got to be careful because they are going to be on high fuel loads.
So here we go then, just waiting up now. And again, looking back to the championship, Not So Happy Cow starting, I think it was 5th. He is starting in, yep. And we got Bendel all the way down in 10th, so this does not help Bendel at all. He's really got to make up some early ground, especially with Showjords on pole. If he gets even a 3rd place today and Bendel fails to outscore him by any more than 2 points, then he will drop behind the Sauber in the championship with just one race to go, and he cannot afford that at all. So it's really going to be putting the hammer down for Bendel here today, see what he can do. Now looking at the tyres, we've got Miles on the medium, we've got 20 Boy and George Roberts on the softs, and interestingly Ozone Francis starting on the super softs, so he's going to go for either an aggressive 2-stop or a conservative 1-stop by the looks of things.
I didn't expect Francis to be starting on the super softs, so I would have expected more of an alternate strategy from Francis.
Would have expected him to start on maybe the soft tyres at least, but nope, he's just sticking to his strategy here, even though qualifying hasn't quite paid off. So we'll see how that goes for him in the race. Of course, overtaking is quite easy round here if you've got a straight line, if you've got the straight line speed on your setup. So it'll be interesting to see if guys are quick in a straight line round here compared to some others, because I can assure you some will be more concentrating on tyre wear than straight line speed, as drivers go onto their formation lap now. And we tend to see this from Show Jordan and Marklin. They tend to go for it a little bit off the start. So there we go.
That is full throttle into turn 1 on the board.
Pretty much, yep. So just getting used to how the car feels, obviously. But yeah, so we'll run you through the order again. We've got Show George on pole. We've got Marklin in the Haas just behind him. He will be eager to get past into turn 1, I can assure you that. Thomas looking for that last promotion spot. He's got a big chance here today if he can pick off some early front runners. But he's got Robot Sophie and Not So Happy Cow right behind him, who are both going to be in the hunt for those final promotion spots as well. Robot Sophie currently on 15 points. She is 39 points adrift, so she can still get promoted, but has to hope that Show George, Bendel, or Not So Happy Cow has a poor result here today. So behind them we've got Raikkonen in P6 in the other Sauber. Look to struggle a little bit in qualifying, but hopefully his race pace will be a bit better. We've got Steph just behind him in the Red Bull, starting from P7. We've got an aggressive weaving Tezza in the McLaren, starting P8, slightly further down than we've seen him in the last couple of weeks. Then we've got Fear in 9th, don't tend to see him up in the top 10, but he's once again made it here after getting a top 10 in Hungary. And we've got Bendel. Oh my goodness, I think himself or Geiselodium might be lagging. That was interesting coming out of Ascari. Miles, of course, in the other McLaren, starting down to P12. We haven't seen him down here for a while. He's been in the top 6 for quite a few races now, but today he starts down in 12th position and on the medium tyres. We've got Twanny Boy starting on the I think it's the soft tyres, yeah, soft tyres in 13th place, and then 14th and 15th is George Roberts in the Ferrari, who's quite a way behind, and Ozone Francis, or Francis Jessica, starting from the back on those super soft tyres. We just wait for the Ferrari, who's taking a very interesting line. He's going to have dirt all over his tyres.
Also, quickly, before lights out, you were saying about Miles being the only person to start on the mediums, also starting with 7 laps of extra fuel. A lot more than the rest of the grid, who are all on around 3 laps of extra fuel. Miles seems to be on 7.
Interesting. So we'll see how that pans out for him. But for now, we're just waiting for the starters' orders and the red lights to come on here in Monza for the Italian Grand Prix here in F3. We have 5 red lights. And out they go, and off goes Marklin. Marklin looks like he may have got the jump actually on the Sauber. Coming down into turn 1, he's got the inside line. Shojos will try and defend it, but he's not going to be able to because the Haas is already alongside. They touch wheels. Coming down into turn 1, Marklin up the inside. He's going to push the Sauber wide. This is going to run out. Oh, Thomas is off in the background. Bendel gets a 5-second stop go as well as he cuts the corner to avoid any collisions. Robot Sophie already up into a podium position, and this is badly affected. I thought it was Shojos. No, it's Thomas, sorry. He's all the way down in 9th place already. He's got half a front wing, so he may end up pitting at the end of this lap, sorry. Ozone Francis up into 12th place already. We've got another car off in the background. That is disabled Fear in the Mercedes. There's cars and carnage everywhere. Gazalodian down into 11th place. And Fear was dropped right back here, so he's had a horrible start. As you can see there, down 4 positions. We've got Miles. Oh, Miles has gone wide there. He's in the gravel. And we've got Raikkonen round as well. Big incident in the first lap already. And a little chance for us to catch our breath there. That was some intense stuff into turn 1 and throughout the rest of the lap.
It looks to me like Bendel's going to have to pit. Raikkonen's definitely going to have to pit. Miles possibly. He has smaller amounts of front wing damage. Fear's got damage. It looks to me like Thomas has got damage as well, so expect to see probably a lot of cars on the pit lane.
This promoted Steph and Tezza both in up 2 places. That's good for them. And Francis already up into P7, so that strategy paying off already. And he's not too far behind the leaders either, so if he's got the pace, he could really start to push on here. But as you say, we've got Thomas in the pits. He's getting a front wing change. He's going on to the yellow wall soft tyres. Raikkonen, who's just making his way through Parabolica now. Unfortunately for him, it's going to be pretty much race over with no safety car being run here. Bendel's dropped as well. I don't know if he's got front wing damage, so he's going to suffer. Miles has wing damage as well. So the bottom 4 of the runners currently all have front wing damage. Fear has front wing damage as well, running in P10 in the Mercedes. And it's bit of a chaotic first lap. Geiselodian back up to 8th place. Has he got front wing damage? Nope, so he's clean. But it's this battle at the moment for 6th place. that we're watching, and it's Francis all over the back of the McLaren of Tezza. He's got the straight line speed. He's going to try and go round the outside of Ascari. He's on the grass, and he's going to be pushed into the gravel here. And I can only say that he was putting himself in that position.
And he's going to lose position to the Haas as well, down towards
Yep,
Parabolica.
Geiselodian coming down the outside. Can he make it through Parabolica? Of course, Dirty Tights and George Roberts has gone. He's lost it coming out of Ascari. That's a big crash. There, he's hit the left side coming out of Parabolica. Ascari. So that's a big crash for him. That's his race over already, which will promote the two last runners. But coming into the third lap, but his show jaws, it just has just over a second gap to Marklin. Marklin, that will help him because of course DRS is enabled this lap.
Francis is back down the inside of the Haas.
Already up. Oh, and he's sliding.
Position, but he's looking very aggressive into turn one. I saw him on the last lap make a huge double lock up, and then he's too quick on the throttle out of turn one.
Yeah, of course, he's used to being up there, so all these guys slightly further down are going to be holding him up. Tez has got a little bit of a gap now to him, and there's quite a few gaps beginning to appear, but we've got currently a three-way battle for second place. Oh, and what's happened there? Showgeorge has had a moment, and he's dropped down into second place. He's now got the Renault of Robot Sophie all over the back of him, so I'm not quite sure what happened there, whether he just ran wide or something. But he is beginning to feel the pressure from the Renault. He's just taking her time at the moment. And it's a poor run out of Ascari from Showgeorge. He's not got any DRS to worry about just yet. It'll be down the front straight where he's got to really check his mirrors. Not so happy Cal just behind them as well. It's beginning to heat up here in the battle for this first place as well, because Marklin is struggling for pace just a little bit here, and Showgeorge might actually get DRS as they come out of Parabolica onto the front straight. He doesn't have DRS, but the Renault of Robot Sophie does. Into turn one, will she have a look up the inside? Don't think she's quite close enough. Nope, holds position for now. And they will follow each other round until possibly turn 4, depending on how good their exits are.
This is allowing not so happy Cal to catch up as well, now within half a second of Sophie. This could become a three-way battle for second and possibly a four-way battle for the lead.
Yeah, it's looking to be quite a good race up there at the moment. Meanwhile, Francis is catching up to Tezza, and this middle sector is really going to show how much quicker he is than these guys. We'll just ride on board at the moment just to show you. He's just over a second now as they come through the two Lesmos now. Just watch that delta decrease. He's so much quicker than Tezza in front of him, and Tezza does have front wing damage, to be fair to him, so he is losing a lot of time because of that. And he will stick it out. We've seen him do it before. As Raikkonen going fastest at the moment on the soft tyres. That's interesting. So it just shows how much wear the super softs do have at this stage. And look at that, he's right behind the McLaren already. Even though it's such a low downforce track in the front wing, doesn't really take effect. It is really affecting the McLaren, and it's just exaggerating the effect that we have here of the speed of Francis Jessica as he's having a look up the inside of Parabolica, and he's actually gone for it. Oh, and they touch. And I think that's purely because Tezza run wide with the front wing damage. But Francis Jessica gets the job done and moves up into P6 from last place on the grid. No moves being made up at the front.
It looks to me like Marklin's struggling with pace. Showgeorge does seem to have the edge.
Yeah, Showgeorge definitely has a little bit of extra pace. Of course, he proved it in qualifying, but only by the smallest of fractions. So whether that will actually take effect on the race, I'm not quite sure. He's just dropped off a little bit there. May have just been taking a defensive line from Sophie as Thomas goes fastest on the softs. So we saw Raikkonen do the lap before. So we're going to just settle down just a little bit. So Geiselodian begins to close in on the Mercedes of Disabled Fear, who is closing down on the Force India of 20 Boy, who I think has front wing damage. No, he doesn't, so he's clean for the moment, but Fear is catching him. He's got the straight line speed in that Mercedes.
Has lost it at Ascari, he's in the gravel.
Oh, not so happy Cow's at the wall! Oh my goodness! Cow is out! That is a big change up in the championship, not only for this race, but the championship as well. He's come out of Ascari, he's put it in the wall.
Sophie's at the inside for the lead. Sophie leads now on to lap 6. Marklin drops back to second. Francis is up 10 places on his starting position now in P5. Showgeorge down to 4.
Unbelievable first stint at the moment. Marklin looking up the inside is not going to get the job done. My goodness, it all kicked off there. I think I missed quite a bit of it, unfortunately. We didn't see the move from Sophie. But we were too busy concentrating on Not So Happy Cow. But he is gone already, and that is a massive dent to his promotion chances. Because that really does give the advantage back to Thomas now, although he had a little bit of an iffy start. Oh, and that's Marklin going very wide through the chicane at turns 4 and 5, so he's lost a lot of ground there. And he promotes Steph into 3rd place. Wow! Steph hasn't been up here since, well, quite a while ago, if he has been before. And he's currently got the fastest man on track behind him, and he's almost taken him out because he runs wide. I think Showjaws would have had a little bit of a deep breath there as he has to let the Williams through.
I think that whole incident started from Showjaws losing the back end. He took too much curve on then through Scary, and then he hit Cow, and Cow unfortunately lost it.
So coming down into Parabolica, it is Francis Jessica who has got the straight line speed. Or has he actually? No, he ducks back to the inside. If we jump on board, he's still there up the inside of the Red Bull as he twitches on the steering wheel. Adjust the fuel load. We've got a little bit of lag from him at the moment. We'll look back from Steph just to show you that it is the Williams lagging. Showjaw's beginning to close as well. Is it going to be a lunge up the inside from Francis Jessica? Nope. And I think Steph might have outbraked himself. Nope. Oh, and up the inside goes the Williams. That is front wing damage for Francis. He's in trouble. He's got lag as well, which isn't helping his cause. And this is, of course, going to keep Showjaws behind for a bit longer because he can't really go for a move when the car in front is lagging left, right and centre. So we'll just keep an eye on this battle for the moment, and as you can see he's struggling now. Oh my goodness, sideways through the corner. Not sure if you're seeing this as well, Jake, but he's lagging all over the place at the moment.
Yeah, there's a few lag issues in this little battle.
This is all allowing Tezza to close up, who's got that front wing damage, but he's plucking away at the lap times. And we should begin to see pit stops between now and lap 10. So look out for those guys pitting.
That damage is affecting Francis through the Lesmos, but he's still got the edge over Steph as he goes a bit more through the exit of Scary.
I was definitely going to say he's got the pace still. He's surely not going to try it round here. He's got half a front wing. He's in front at the entry to the corner, but as you can see there, the downforce just doesn't have it. And this is all allowed Showjaws to join into the party, and there he goes into the pit. He has bowed out to that battle, and he gets a 5-second stop go for speeding, and that is massively going to hurt him. Now, if he serves that or not, I'm presuming he will, unless he goes onto the mediums, which he isn't. No, he is, sorry. So we could see him to the end. If not, he'll come in and serve that 5-second stop go. That's going to bring him out right down the field. Miles, meanwhile, still going round with those medium tyres with half a front wing. It really isn't helping him at this moment in time. But we may see Thomas, actually. Where is he compared to the Williams? He might get past. Yep, and he is past. So Thomas in front of Francis Jessica. He's back into the points now as the Toro Rosso driver, as he smokes his way into turn 1. But he is back up into the points and will be chasing down the damaged McLaren of Miles. We'll see how that goes for him.
I'm currently still watching this battle for third. Showjaws is still all over the back of Steph, not letting him get away too much.
He clips the grass on entry. I don't know if that's affected Show. He's going very slow through Ascari now though. Very cautious. I don't know if he's got...
bring Tezza into it.
Yep, Tezza of course with wing damage though, so he's going to be a little bit slower. But Showjaws on the wheel of course. He is taking care of those tyres as best as he can at the moment. I wonder if we'll see him pit at the end of this lap, as he comes out of Parabolica now, and he's going to... Oh, he thought about it, but not quite. And this is all allowing Tezza to catch up. He's got the DRS in action.
Coming for Ascari, but I think he is gaining on Thomas.
Yeah, of course, on fresher tyres as well. He probably will be the quicker of the two drivers. Bendel into the pits. So follow him. He's got front wing damage as well, so that's going to have affected him. And I wonder if Francis Jessica had just a little bit of a wobble there coming out of Parabolica. Fear's going to get the jump here on Bendel, I think, because Bendel's still in the pit lane. He's still getting served, so Fear will get promoted into 11th place.
In between the softs and the mediums for me. I think it says for me now he's on the mediums. I presume he is going to try to go to the end of his
yeah, Bendel's on the medium tyre.
Alright.
So as you can see there on the graphic on the left-hand side.
20 Boy has spun it at the second Lesmo.
So that's going to have affected him actually. He's got dirt all over his tyres. Miles is going to pick him off here. Or is he going to have a look into Ascari? Surely not. With half a front wing, I know he's got the overspeed, but as you can see, thinks better of it, and I think he just gets away without a warning there. And this is the problem that Miles has, because he can't negotiate. What's the word? I can't think of the word. Regulate. So he can't regulate his throttle because he uses square and X as his brake and acceleration, which is why he struggles so much. And as you can see, that affecting him through Ascari. So we've discussed this at length with him before, but he says that that's what he's used to, and he's going to use that for as long as he's playing F1. And he's maybe going to have a look down into turn 1 now on 20 Boy. Not quite close enough. Marklin comes out of the pits in P5. He's on mediums. He's going to the end now.
And so he's got to watch out for the indicator. I would presume she will be pitting their flaps to run off.
Yeah, and Shojo's just being held up by Steph at the moment. He's got to get a move on as he cuts the corner there. Yep, significantly enough to issue a warning for himself, and 3 seconds. So he's really got to start pushing now. I think that's his second one already. See Steph just making the car as wide as he can. And he's gone very wide through Ascari, but Shojo's just hasn't got the tyres or the speed to get past him at this stage. So we'll see if Robot Sophie pits. Indeed she does. Off of the Red Bull Super Soft into the pits. She does not get a stop go. And as you can see, Steph really struggling. Is Steph going to pit? No, so the two... That's interesting, because Marklin on fresh medium is going to be closing in on these guys. Onto the soft tyres goes Robot Sophie, so she feels that she can push these to the end after doing 11 laps on the Super Softs. And that is Shojod's up into first place. We've missed that unfortunately, but he's gone down the inside into turn 1 with the DRS, and he has passed the Red Bull finally. But this may have affected his race here, because of course he had a couple of moments earlier on in the race, and Marklin on fresh tyres now will be closing.
That's for me, Sophie.
And Bendel has gone on! No! That is a massive turn in the chance for promotion. And again, coming out of Ascari, it's claimed another victim already. Actually, no, where's he lost that? Yeah, it is Ascari. We're just looking down, he's facing the wrong way. Yeah. So he's had a massive crash there. He's obviously lost the back end somewhere coming out of Ascari. He's spun the car around as he's hit the barrier. It's a big incident for him. And it's going to damage his... not just his car, but his championship, his promotion hopes as well. Hanging by a thread at the moment. This brings fear back into play as he clips the grass coming through turn 3. Not quite sure how he's managed that. As we jump back to the front, it is Steph and Shojorts going at it for the moment. They need to pit soon, because otherwise they're going to be so far behind with the tyre wear. Shojorts doesn't pit, so he's going to go for another lap on these tyres. They're going to be crying out to him. Sophie is gaining massively already. His guy Zalodian says, I'm not quite sure what he's saying to the apex there, but he's gone completely offline into the pits, lets his teammate past, and this is net battle for the lead now, because of course Sophie stopped, Marklin has stopped, so this is effectively the battle for the lead, and Robot Sophie has a 1.6 second gap, so that'll be fairly nice for her to look back at the moment. We've got Thomas back up into 7th place, Miles still trails behind 20 Boy for now, who I think started on those tyres. Yep, he did, so he's in a pretty decent position at the moment. Guys loading, coming out of the pits now. He's on to the soft tyres, so he's definitely going to the end now. And Tezza, I think, yeah, Tezza's well past. It's Fear that we're looking at now that needs to try and get past. He's on the medium tyres, and he almost hits the back of the Haas there, coming into the first corner. But for now,
is all over the back of 20 Boy coming through the low nose.
Francis behind these guys as well. His car is all over the place.
Miles is going to go for it.
Oh, he's on the grass and they collide! Oh my goodness! Oh, they've crashed! That is it! That is both of them out! I think 20 may have just survived that. Yep, he's just survived that, but that was poor racecraft there from both of them, not giving each other enough space, and evidently causing a massive crash coming down into Ascari. And I would expect there would be a couple of steward inquiries into that one later this evening. But from the race lead comes into the pits, it is Showjord in the Sauber, and he's going to keep out in front of Steph, and he now goes on the charge to try and catch Marklin, who is miles ahead now. He's actually come out behind. He's come out behind Francis, Jessica and Thomas. This is massively going to hurt him now, because of course he's on fresh tyres, he needs to push, but he's going to be struggling now because he's in dirty air. But he is on the faster tyre, so maybe he can negotiate the Williams with ease. We'll find out how.
Looking at fuel, Sophie has a lot more fuel than Marklin, but I guess Sophie will have to look after her tyres towards the end of the race as she's on the softs.
Yep, so that is a factor, of course. And Thomas as well, in third place, isn't actually racing. Well, he's racing for position, but he does have to pit again. So we'll see how much he decides to defend, because obviously he's got to try and make these tyres last.
I think Francis is going to the end on the mediums. He pitted on lap 8, yes, so he'll be taking those to the end.
Yeah, he's got to take him, what, 19, 20 laps or so, so he's got to look after them. He can't just throw the car around like the guys can on the softs that are pitted that bit later. But Francis Jessica does look racy.
Currently in the battle for the lead, there are no penalties at play. Sophie has 2 warnings and Marklin has 1. So at the minute, this is all on track for the one.
So coming into lap 14 for these boys now. Francis Jessica looks to the outside as Thomas defends the inside, so he's going to try and defend the position. He's going to lock up into turn 1. They're going to tag wheels, but that is the Williams through with a fairly easy pass in the end. Thomas not able to put up too much of a fight on those worn tyres, and now he's got the Sauber of Showjord just behind, who seems to be dropping off a little bit actually. He's not got the pace at the moment. Whether he was just trying to save fuel or not quite sure on that one. But Tezza has now got a front wing and he's on medium tyres, so he's done himself the world of good here, because actually, yep, no, he is on mediums. The game showing us he's on super softs, but he is on mediums. Graphic on the left is the one you trust. So yeah, he can go to the end, so we'll look out for him later on. Meanwhile, the battle for 8th place, and this is the big points that need to be claimed by the Mercedes of Disabled Theories, just on the cusp of promotion, and he's almost hit the back of the Haas several times there coming in the middle sector, and it looks like he might get the run down to a Ascari, and he so nearly puts it in the gravel. He's lost all his momentum. He's going to have to build up again for an overtake, maybe into Parabolica or turn 1. Raikkonen not too far behind as well now, so on those soft tyres he will have to pit again though. And Fizz actually got the run here on guys are loading.
Looking like Thomas was dropping off, Showjord will catch up now on the fresher tyres.
Have a look. Nope, he stays behind for now. So Fear obviously looking for a gap into turn 1. He's going to use the DRS and the straight line speed he's got with that Mercedes, and that is Raikkonen into the pits. So he will get jumped by 20 boy. Tucks into the slipstream, but I don't think he's got the straight line speed. When he thought about going up the inside, he wants to desperately, but and he nearly loses the back end. I think it was just a lag exaggerating that effect. We'll jump on board with those guys in a moment's time. Meanwhile, jumping back up to the battle for the lead of the race.
I'm not sure what's happened to Thomas, but he's dropped down to 6th behind Steph and Showjord. So
yeah, he's just on very, very worn tyres at this stage, because of course he did pit early on, remember. So I'd expect to see him in at the end of this lap for those soft tyres, if he's got another set available. And that is Fear pass with Missy overtake. Probably a mistake there because of where that is on track. So Fear up into 8th place, he can now push on. He's got a 17-second deficit though to the McLaren of Tezza. And 20 boy picks up a 3-second time penalty. So is Thomas going to pit at the end of this lap? We'll see. He's been on these softs for about 15 laps now. No, he's going to keep going for now, so he obviously feels the wear is good enough. He's just getting towed along at the moment by the Red Bull with the DRS. So it will be helping him to a certain degree, but of course those tyres are not at their best by any means. So we'll see what his strategy is towards the end of the race. He can go on to super softs now, actually. He could go onto them if he wants to. Showjaw's not particularly catching Francis at the rate he would want to. Still around 1.4 seconds the gap. But the lead of the race is pretty much uncontested at the moment. It is Robot Sophie who's flying in yellow in that Renault. And she has a almost 4.5 second gap now to the Haas of Marklin, who is on the medium tyres, so he will come back at the Renault at the end of the race. Oh, and as I say that, he's put it in the wall, coming out of Ascari, and he's gone. That is Marklin out of the race, and that is his promotion contentions over with. That will be him done and dusted for the season. He can't get promoted now. And literally, as I was saying, he'll come back at Sophie at the end of the race, puts it in the wall, and he is gone.
That promotes Francis, who started last, to second now, up 13 places on his starting position. Great race for him to be
Great
fair.
strategy from him as well, yeah. Hats off to him. He's picked off a few cars at the start and he's just picked them off throughout the race. And now, just over half race distance gone, he's already up into second place, so hats off to him. The championship leader is obviously leading it for a reason. Obviously he's been here since the first race rather than 6 races in where some of these guys have come in, such as Sophie. But she's not at the top because of where Raikkonen is. And Raikkonen is still going round. This will help him. It will just solidify that promotion spot just a little bit more. 1 point though isn't going to mean a lot in that sense. We've got a yellow in sector 3. And I wonder if that's for the crashed Haas. Yeah. So Showjaw's actually dropping back now. That's interesting.
They seem to be struggling with the exit of Ascari, probably running too high ballasts for them to control from that of Ascari on heavier fuel.
Yeah, we do tend to see that a lot of guys use time trial setups rather than race setups, so they do tend to get a little bit more of instability in that back end. But Thomas really beginning to suffer now. He's got to do something because he can't go to the end on these tyres. If he doesn't pit now, he's just going to keep losing time. So is he going to pit the end of this lap? It looks like it. Yep, into the pits comes the Toro Rosso. Big lock up on the front, left and right. And he gets a 5-second stop go as well. I have to stop the car in time.
I think regardless, he'll probably come out ahead of Fear. He's got a 21-second gap at the minute.
It's going to be close because he's getting service now. And he's on the super soft, so he will be very quick at the end of this race. And as you can see there's the red light of the Toro Rosso in the pit lane. Fear comes across the line now onto lap 18. He's going to get the jump on the Toro Rosso. Is Guys Loading going to get him as well? I think he's... Oh, down the outside of someone. Nope. He's braking very early and letting the Toro Rosso, who is much faster now, through and letting him do his thing. And maybe even back up Fear into the Haas, so that would help him in that respect. So we'll keep an eye out for the Toro Rosso, who's on the fastest tyre available to him. Tezza just chugging around in 5th place at the moment. That'd be a big haul of points. I don't think he can get promoted with it, but that'd be good for him. A good result, P5, having seen some big names go out today. And there is that Haas, not in good condition. But Showjaw's definitely suffering now. Whether he's just saving fuel at this stage, not quite sure, but he is dropping back from the much quicker Williams, who's on a slower tyre, theoretically speaking. But Francis Jessica is just pulling away, and this may help Prototype Steph because psychologically speaking, Showjaw's is just seeing a slower tyre pull away from him, so he may just begin to make a couple of mistakes now. Lack of concentration maybe. So we'll see if Steph begins to catch. But it is Robot Sophie who leads the race still on lap 19. She has a lead of more than 11 seconds with 9 laps to go, 8.5 laps to go as she comes round the 2 Lesmos now. You just got to keep it clean, not get any penalties, and she will win comfortably here at Monza this afternoon. And that is Showjaw's past Francis Jessica. He's made a mistake coming into the chicane, and this could spice things up a little bit here because he's suffering now. And as we're saying that Showjaw's just needs to keep his concentration, it's Francis Jessica's lost his concentration, gone into the gravel, and this has now enabled Steph to close to within DRS range. He's got DRS in action, as you can see there. Clips the grass on the entrance to Ascari, and the Williams is all over the place now. She's got to calm himself down.
His front wing though. And I was about to say before Francis made that mistake that with this position I think he is wrapped up with constructors for Williams.
As 20 Boy is out of the race. Where is that? Is it where we think it is? No, where's he lost that? So
it's the entrance to turn 4.
That is a very unusual place to lose the car, so whether he's had a collision with someone I'm not quite sure. Obviously he's already had a collision with Miles, but he's hit the inside wall. That's an interesting one.
He possibly might have clipped the inside curve at the curve around there and been thrown off, but it's a very peculiar position to park.
So yeah, that's an interesting one. Meanwhile, we have Thomas, who's already closed up to the back of Fear. Is he going to have a lunge down into turn 1? He's looking for it. He's thinking about it. Fear goes deep. Not enough though. And he's got deep into turn 2 as well. And this is going to see Thomas nicely through into 6th place. And he will go chasing after the McLaren of Tezza now. 21 seconds though. It's quite a tough
And they have found
ask.
the root of that incident. Raikkonen is in the pits with wing damage, so I think he might have collided with the anyway.
Yeah, I did see that actually. I did see the front wing damage, so I don't know if that's something that's happened between those two or not, but logic would say that it was those two that had a collision with each other. So I'm sure we'll hear about that after the race. But with 7 laps to go now, it is Robot Sophie who leads. There's a 15-second gap to Showjaws behind. She can still get promoted with this result because of where because of course Bendel having DNF'd as well. That was the other big one. I saw Marklin and Not So Happy Cow DNF, and I couldn't remember who the other big one was, and it is of course Bendel, who we don't tend to see fighting for podiums too often, but because he is on 67 points currently, Showjaws will be bumped up onto what's that, 83 points, so he will jump Raikkonen as well by a couple of points, so that will solidify his promotion spot chances. Thomas currently in 5th place. That's going to make him jump Not So Happy Cow. He'll get 10 points for that. Tezza's in 4th at the moment. Wow, I don't think you ever would have expected this with a damaged front wing at the beginning of the race, but hats off to him. He's doing a great job at the moment, and we'll see how that finishes. It's all just beginning to get a bit quieter now. But we've got Francis Jessica, who's pitted onto the super soft tyres. He feels like he had nothing to lose and the mediums were just too slow. This is promoted Fear nicely into 6th for now. But he's going to lose 2.6 seconds very quickly when he's on dead mediums, unfortunately. Thomas closing the gap to Tezza, but it's only 2 seconds a lap, which is nowhere near enough. So he's got to keep pushing.
If Tezza manages to skeet P4, he'll only be it'll be a position out of it'll be a position away from promotion. I think he'll be on.
Well, yeah, because he gets 15 points, so he'll be on 41 points. But he's still going to be a long way off. Not So Happy Cow will be 13 points in front. Not to mention the fact that Thomas is going to jump in, so he will be 14 points minimum off of the promotion spots. So it's a tall ask for him to outscore Thomas or Cow. Thomas by 14 points. Bendel may get picked off at the end of the final race, which is of course in China next week. So that should be a good race for that one. A very technical track. And we can see a lot of incidents there as well. Sophie has extended her lead to 17.5 seconds now as prototype Steph begins to close the gap to the Salbert of Showjaws, who seems to have been struggling on those softs a little bit, whether he's just conserving tyres or not quite sure. Francis picked up a 3-second time penalty, and he's in pursuit of the Mercedes of Fear at the moment. Beginning to feel the pressure now from the Williams. And oh my goodness, he's surely not going to have a look up the inside of the second Lesmo. He's going to get Fear on the exit though, down into Ascari, you would think. Fear's going to let him through. Looks like, yep, he's just going to tuck in behind the Williams, who's much quicker at this stage. And Fear will take P7 for now. He's got guys to let him behind, but 5 seconds I don't think is going to evaporate that quickly. Thomas in front has got a 16-second deficit to Tezza, But his tyres are going to be going off, so that's going to be neutralising that closing effect very, very quickly. Tezza is only 3 seconds off of a podium right now, so if Steph has penalties, he could really be in with a chance of a podium finish. Would be amazing for him, having started quite a way down. Actually, let's just have a little look at that. Where did he start? He started down 8th place, so he didn't start too far down the order, but he's done a terrifically good job to get back up into contention of a podium. He's never finished on the podium here in F3 in PSF1.
Steph has a 3-second time penalty, but Tezza has a stop go.
So that will be added to his time, although it won't be actually added by the game. The stewards and directors will add that on at the end, so we'll see how far behind he actually finishes. And it's
a 3-second time penalty, that won't affect anything.
Well, no, because of course Steph has 3 seconds. You said.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steph had just began to close the gap. It was down to 1.5. It's back up to 2.3 now. So whether Showjaws is pushing or Steph's tyres are just going off, because Tezza is now 2.2 behind, and he is closing at a rapid rate. So maybe Steph's tyres are just beginning to drop off here. We'll soon find out. There's Ozone Francis begins to close the gap to Thomas. I don't think he's going to close 6 seconds in 4 laps though. He might, you never know. Tezza needs to be a bit more fluent with the steering, because that will cost him, just flicking the analog stick through the fast corners. Just got to be a bit smoother there. But at the moment, Proto Steph looks like he could be on for a podium if he keeps it clean in the last few laps. Roval Sophie leads by almost 20 seconds now. She's miles in front and will claim her first win of this season. That will put her onto 40 points. So she'll be almost there for promotion. If she wins the next race though, that could really unsettle some drivers, as Prototype Steph begins to close the gap again to Showjaws. So whether he's just struggling, I'm not quite sure. But the Red Bull's fluctuating between the Sauber and the McLaren. It's going to be a bit of a sandwich towards the end of this race. Tezza not beginning to close as of that lap. But they're just trying to keep their gaps at the moment by the look of it. We've got no one really closer at this stage in the race. It's just these three that are closest on track. And it gives us a chance to talk about who we would award Driver of the Day. We don't tend to do it this early on. We don't tend to do it at all, but we do tend to compliment drivers on their drive. And Jake, as it is your first time commentating, who would you say is really lit up the stream today? Who's really caught your eye?
Well, obviously Sophie has just been totally consistent the whole way through. Francis was having a really good race up until when he had that off. He was in second place, but I think Francis has had a good race from last. Sophie has had an impeccable race. Showjaws, he's been here and there, but he's been fast throughout. Steph has also caught my eye. He didn't seem to have that much faith in qualifying. He's been quite well. I think Steph and Tezza, both of them have done quite well in my opinion.
So yeah, Tezza definitely having a good race, but these two both started alongside each other on the grid. They're going to finish alongside each other, barring any time penalties that I don't think are going to take effect at this stage. It's just too large a gap. So these guys will finish as they are on track, unless one of them has an incident coming into the last couple of laps now. As we still follow around the McLaren of Tezza. He's got a 2.5 second deficit to Steph now, who's closing, well, he was closing to Showjaws. He's lost 4/10 somewhere, not quite sure where. But yeah, Bendel is going to be a massive he's going to be right on the edge now, because Not So Happy Cow does help him DNFing. That keeps him on 54, but Bendel is right on the edge now of that promotion spot, and with Thomas scoring 10 points, it's going to put him on to 55. So as of right now, Not So Happy Cow isn't in the promotion spots. So Fear's actually going to be quite close as well, because Fear's going to get 7th, which is 6 points. So he's going to be on 45. So he's only going to be 9 points behind Cow as well. So it really is going to be spicing up towards the last race of the season. It's all there to play for. Robot Sophie, of course, is going to be in the hunt as well, and she's got pace and a lot of it, and she's proving that at the moment. She comes onto her final lap now, and we'll stay with her for this final lap. As a Tezza begins to get that gap down to just under 2 seconds now, but I don't think it's going to be enough. But Sophie did have a little bit of a wobble at the start. It didn't look like she was going to get through turn 1 without an incident, but she's picked off the front runners, the so-called faster drivers. She started down in what I believe was a 4th in the end. But she's definitely proven that she's got race pace here. And with more than 20 seconds to play with, she could actually make a pit stop and still come out in front of the drivers behind. So a very, very commanding race from her. In the end, it didn't look that way from the start. But she's proven to everyone that she can win races, and she's got the pace, and that she can get promoted to F2 at the end of the season if she wishes to do so in China. She's got to win the race though to have any sort of hope of doing that. She will end on 65 points, so it does come down to whether she can outscore Thomas by 15 points, and if she can outscore Cal by also 15 points. So well done to Robot Sophie. Comes across the line to finish P1 in a commanding victory here in Monza. Congratulations to Sophie. And we'll switch back to these three, who are very, very close together. Just over 3 seconds are going to separate them as they come across the line. I don't think time penalties are going to take effect. We know that Tezza has a 5-second stop go that will need to be added. So
mistakes I've missed on the last lap. No, that is going to be the podium.
Tezza jumps Steph and actually finishes his own 2/10 behind Showjaws, but he has an unserved 5-second stop go that will be added because the game doesn't add it. So unfortunately for him, he will drop back down to 4th place. Thomas comes across the line in 5th. A very good recovery drive from him. Francis Jessica, it was going to be better, but he just couldn't keep the car on the track. Fear coming home in a very positive P7. That's good points for him.
Important points of Fear in the promotion battle.
Raikkonen's crossed the line in 9th place already, and it is going to be Gazzelone, our last finisher. Only 9 finishers at Monza. It's claimed a lot of victims today with its fast-paced corners, but congratulations to all of those guys, and of course the podium sitters, which actually won't be Tezza, unfortunately for him, because we do believe he has an unserved 5-second stop-go penalty. So unfortunately for him, that's going to drop him back down into 4th place and promote Steph into a podium position. So congratulations to Steph, who actually, with a 3rd place, moves on to 41 points. So there is 4 or 5 drivers, actually maybe even 6 drivers going for this last promotion spot. It is really going to be a battle going into this last, and as you can see there, the 10 seconds that Tezza did receive was from a unserved stop-go penalty, I believe. We'll just double check that here. Yeah, as you can see, stop go there, so he didn't serve that because he jumped it. And if we look at the bottom of the director's list, there you go, 5 seconds for unserved stop go. So he will receive 5 seconds at the end of his time, which means he will drop to 4th place. I don't know if anyone else had any unserved stop goes. Did you spot anyone else that had any?
I didn't spot anyone in the top 5 or 6.
Thomas had an unserved stop go, and he finished. Where did he finish? Actually, we need to get this. He finished. Let's just have a little look here. He finished enough in front of Francis Jessica, so that won't take effect anyway. But thank you very much, Jake, for co-commentating with me today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
It has been a pleasure, actually. I haven't really done much commentary in my time, but it was really, really nice to have that experience.
Yeah, you never know. We may ask you to come back next week as well, because it is the last race of the season. So having another person along might be a good idea. It depends if Dougie will be back or not. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Rejoin us for next week's race, which is the finale of the Season 8 F3 season. And we'll look to see who's going to get promoted and who's going to stay in F3 for another season. It has been a race filled with carnage, and a lot of big names are missing out on big points today. But from me and Jake, it is goodbye for now, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.